The Remarkable 2 or the iPad Pro. Maybe you're watching this video because you're trying to figure out which one is right for you, and most videos on YouTube are gonna do their best to compare and try to figure out which one is best. In this video though, I wanna take a little bit of a different approach. You see, when I bought the Remarkable 2, I was thinking to myself, maybe it would be a device that could replace my iPad Pro, or at least just getting a feel for what this device was all about. And then I found this unique place that it just fit perfectly into my workflow. So much so that after using it for the last 60 days, I've decided it's not intended to replace, nor should it replace, and it's actually just an amazing device that I love having, and it works perfectly side by side in my workflow. So let me tell you all about how I use it, and then I'll tell you what I like about each device. So my biggest question when it came down to the Remarkable 2 was how much would I actually use the device, because it simply does one thing and one thing only. It is a note-taking, writing device. You have a pencil, pen, whatever they call it, and you write. It literally doesn't do anything else. It doesn't connect to the internet. It doesn't do email. It doesn't do text messaging. It doesn't watch videos. It literally doesn't serve any other purpose. So like me, you may ask yourself, I don't really think that I'd use the Remarkable very much because it only does that. But because it does it so unbelievably well, I think that it has a unique place for a lot of people that maybe you're not necessarily thinking about. Whether you work from home or you work in an office, you may be like me where a lot of times throughout the day, you just need to jot something down quickly. Maybe it's a quick task, maybe it's a note, maybe it's an idea, maybe it's just something that comes to mind. And you may have your computer handy, you may even have an iPad handy, and you may use those devices to jot that down, but sometimes it's nice just having a piece of paper and a pen next to you to be able to quickly write down something that comes to mind, no matter what it is. You see, I'm not a big paper and pen person because I don't like the fact that I can't search things and go back to what I've written in a digital landscape. But this can serve that purpose unbelievably well, way better than even an iPad could because of the fact that it has unbelievable battery life. This thing can last 3, 4, 5 days straight. And in my case, this sits next to me on my desk and is always on at all times while I am working. Whether I'm using my iPad as my main device, or I'm using a computer, or I'm in a meeting, whatever it is, this device is always on, ready to go. It's just instantly accessible. I don't have to turn it on, wait for things to connect. I just literally keep it there. My pen's usually on top of it. I pick it up, I can jot some notes down, set the pen back down, and it acts and feels just like a piece of paper to me. The iPad, though it has the Apple Pencil and a very good writing feel to it, because it doesn't have nearly the battery life that this device does, it doesn't really serve that purpose in the same way unless you want to keep it plugged in at all times. And if you also always have it plugged in and always in writing mode in a note, well then you're having to leave the app to go do something else, and then once you leave the app to go do something else, now you got to go back to write again. So where this serves the unique, simple approach is it's always a writing device that is always ready to be written on at any time. I did a video about 2 years back all about the Full Focus Planner and how I was trying to get a little bit more organized in my everyday and keep track of the most important things I was doing each day. And I really liked the idea of that solution, but I didn't like the actual pen and paper feel because I lost it and I would have to wonder where it is and it wasn't always with me. But I really also liked the fact that I had kind of a little notebook nearby that I could write things down on. You've probably heard people say before, writing down your thoughts makes a bigger difference, and it really does. When I'm brainstorming or I'm in a meeting or I'm just jotting down ideas, there's something about writing what you're thinking that produces a different result in your brain than typing what you're thinking. I think because it takes a little bit longer for me to write something than type something, you think about it more when you're actually doing it. And I found that to be awesome. So I basically created a template that every single day I have a template of the date and the 3 things I want to accomplish and a big area for my notes. And I turn it on when I come down to my office and it never turns off the whole day. And throughout the day, I'm constantly doing work, writing down some notes, and I'm just going back and forth all the time, and I love having this device for that. My iPad usually stays in this configuration in the Smart Keyboard, and so for me to just jot down notes, though I like the writing experience, I'd have to take this off, and obviously take the iPad off, because for it to feel like a writing device, it'd have to be obviously out of the case. And all that is just a little bit extra work if I'm just trying to jot down a note quick. So that's been awesome to just have this always ready for me. When I'm using the iPad at my desk, I actually use it next to my Mac in more of a sidecar and secondary monitor purpose. So what's nice is that the Remarkable 2 is still accessible to me, whereas if I used the iPad for that purpose, I couldn't use it for note taking at the same time. So that's where I like kind of having them side by side, being able to use them at the same time. And when it comes to writing, the experience on this device is just, I hate to use the word, remarkable. It really feels just like paper, and it is so satisfying because it even has the sound of like a pencil writing on it. And because the experience is so good, it makes you actually want to take more notes with your hands, your pen, more natural than any other device. I thought the experience was really good on the iPad when I used it for a bunch of years. It's so good on here, partially because it has no LED backlight, so it looks and feels like it's not even paper. If you first look at a Remarkable when you first pick it up, whether it's in store or someone has it, you actually like kind of think it's like a fake screen, because it just looks so real. Like it doesn't really feel like a device that you're used to. And because of that reason, it writes so smooth and so comfortably that it actually feels like paper. And also because the device is so small, because it obviously doesn't need a lot of processing power for what it does, when it lays flat on the table and it has the little grips on the bottom, it's got these 4 little rubber grips here that kind of grip the table, it doesn't move whatsoever when you're using it. And when you're laying your wrist on here to take notes, it feels very natural, because unlike the extra bulk of an iPad, for example, when you're laying your wrist on that, it feels so much bigger than this does because of just the extra bezels around it and just everything about it. Where when you're putting your wrist down to write with this, it just feels so natural. Now, one of the big selling points for most people with the Remarkable, and they also like to sell that as well, is the fact that it is a distraction-free device. You're not going to get any email notifications or text or photos or video. You can't really do anything else except for write. That is something that could be really valuable to you if you're someone that gets distracted easy and you do take a lot of handwritten notes. Now, obviously that comes with one major con, and that is why I think these are better complementary devices, is I don't really go anywhere with just this device. So while this device plays a crucial role in my everyday work, it's not a device that I would want to have as my only device. If you're not someone that previously had an iPad, or not someone that carries actually a computer with you all the time, and you just really want this to be able to take with you and take notes, that's no problem at all, and maybe that's perfect for you because you can't get distracted. Obviously, we all have phones as well, so that could be the device that you use to connect. So I'm not saying that you can't be a person that has this device and only this device, but in my case, I really wouldn't want this device to be the only one that I have with me. I'll admit that the first 2 weeks that I had this device, I kind of kept looking at it like it doesn't really do anything else, and I don't know how much I'm going to use it, so I probably will end up returning it, until I continued to look at it like a piece of paper that's on my desk and always accessible. And now I write in this all the time, and I really, really have fallen in love with it. So much so that I literally haven't used the Apple Pencil or written on my iPad in probably 3 months or so since I got this, because anytime I'm going to write on a digital device, this just feels better. So if you're watching this video and thinking to yourself, well, I don't want both devices, I want one device, and that's what I'm trying to decide on, then that answer may not be what you were looking for. I think they make amazing complementary devices to each other. But let's dive into the second part of this conversation, and that is which device is right for you. Because I do think that there's a better device for one person than another, and if you're not considering both, let me hopefully help you answer that question. I think the answer, honestly, is pretty simple if you're looking to simply buy one device and one device only. And even though the price is higher, I think that the iPad is obviously an incredible device that you really can't go wrong with, because it does just about everything. It's an exceptional device for watching YouTube and watching media. It does great at email, it's great at the internet. It has thousands, millions and millions of apps that you can use that are super useful. So it has so many purposes besides just writing that for most people, if you're having to choose one device or another, it's hard to tell anyone that the Remarkable 2 is the device you should go for. Unless you're not looking for a device that does all those things. If you're simply saying, I want to basically digitize my notes, if you're a person that literally carries around a notepad, and I know some people that do this, they carry around a thick notepad and they're basically taking notes and doing all their meetings and doing all their stuff in that notepad. If you're that kind of person, you're simply looking to digitize your notes, the Remarkable might be the perfect solution for you. Now, I know a lot of people that have an iPad and will actually tell you that they don't use the iPad very much in general for whatever reason. Maybe it's just that they're on their computer more or their phone more, and so their iPad really gets used for nothing other than watching YouTube videos or doing things here and there. That seems crazy to me because I use my iPad so much, but if you're a person that had an iPad or maybe has an iPad and feel like you don't utilize it enough, well, then maybe the Remarkable actually is a better option for you because maybe there'd be a use that your other devices can't do. Now, one thing that has gotten a lot better that I do appreciate now about the Remarkable is that it can sync to your Mac or your PC or even your iPad to be able to view your notes outside of the Remarkable. You can't really do much with it. On the other devices, really all you could do would be to add stuff to it via like typing and text, and that would show up as regular typing and text here, and then you could change it or write on it or whatever. But that's at least nice because there are times that I leave the Remarkable 2 at my house and I suddenly want to access a note, and it is nice that I can at least pull up that note and see it no problem and not feel like I left my piece of paper at home. That was always my biggest gripe behind like having a notepad, was that if I left that at home, well, I can't access it. I at least like that I can open it up on the Mac or the iPad or a PC and see all my notes and be able to access them. That's a really nice feature. And you can email out one of these documents if you want while you're writing to someone else, but you can't get email back. So you can at least share it. You can share it to Google Drive and some of the sharing sites like that, but that's really as far as it goes. Technically, you can also import ebooks to this and read them as ebooks, but I'm going to say that the experience is not very good. I wouldn't get this as your e-reading device. I think the iPad does a far better job of that because of just how well the apps are integrated and the libraries and all that. So let's keep this and just say that it really just writes. So overall, in my opinion, where do I feel like the Remarkable lives and who is it for? Well, kind of the answer that I have is just reconsider what the Remarkable could potentially do in your workflow. So I'm not suggesting that you have to go out and buy both these devices, but I think that if you are trying to decide which one is for you, maybe you need to really think about what is the most common use that you're going to have for it. This could be a great device for you. And if you're someone that has an iPad and is considered selling it, or you're considering like whether or not you actually want to keep it when you buy this, maybe do what I did and just kind of test out and see which one is right for you. Because I think some people would get this and very quickly say to themselves, it's just, I don't really have a lot of purpose for it. But if you really try to understand where it can live in your workflow and why something like this or my situation would work for you, maybe you'll start to appreciate it a little bit more. Which one's right for you? I can't tell you that, but hopefully this video shed some light on how I think that they potentially could be better friends than people make it out to be. Thanks for watching.